something you've seen that made you believe that you'll never fade. It's a gold mine, and it's one of a kind, and it's knowing how to put your weapons down. Know what you want to say, but you can't find the words. It's a perfect world. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Tell me how you want it to be, and what do you see? Do you believe that you'll never fade? Tell me how you want it to be. Was it something you've seen that made you believe that you'll never fade? In your perfect world, your too perfect world, your too perfect world. Tell me how you want it to be, and what do you see? Do you believe that you'll never fade? Tell me how you want it to be. Was it something you've seen that made you believe that you'll never fade? In your perfect world, your too perfect world, your too perfect world, you're too perfect.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rock Pal Report podcast. I'm your host, Tom Selleck. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. Riding shotgun with me tonight is Mr. Anthony Prohaska from Disguise Coverage in the Film Room over at Cover One. And I like the fact that I got you both to break kayfabe for a second.
Nice.
Little Tom Selleck reference never hurt anybody. The mustache lives,
That got
guys.
me. That got me.
It doesn't just live, it thrives. In fact, I think I'm grown into this, although I will say that I did. So this is the thing that happened. I was wrestling with my children,
Oh, of course. You're a big fan.
and I'm a huge wrestling fan.
You love it.
You know me.
What kind of style? AEW,
Thank you.
WWE,
No, honestly,
Soft
TNA?
style
I'll
and,
tell you
and
what it is.
GPW style.
I have a 4-year-old who was for a while struggling with keeping his hands to himself at school.
Okay.
So I did the thing that a lot of people would say is counterintuitive, and it turns out it worked.
Game of DDT.
No, what I said was, I go, look, I'm going to teach you how to wrestle.
Beat the shit out of
And we're going to wrestle when you
Okay.
get home from school. But the only thing we can do is, like, you do this inside the house. You fight me, you fight your brother. You don't fight anybody outside the house. And those are the rules. And ever since I implemented that, his behavior has improved by leaps and bounds.
I like that.
Outside of the house. So that's a victory. Like, that's a parenting.
Problem is he keeps ambushing me and putting me in ankle locks. And
Yeah, I'm going to have a real problem in like 15 years when he's catching me coming down the stairs and just putting me in the Taz mission.
yeah, I was going to say, Walls of Jericho.
So what happened is I was wrestling with my children, and I come home from work, so I immediately take off my dress shirt, and I've just got a black beater on underneath.
You choked him like Daniel Bryan on Justin Roberts.
And I'm walking through the kitchen after, we've been at it for about 20 minutes, and I get up, I'm like, I'm going to grab a glass of water, and I'm walking through the kitchen, and I have no glasses on, and I catch my reflection. Now, have you ever seen the movie Training Day?
Oh, it's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Okay. The scene with the Cholos where Ethan Hawke almost dies, I look like Smiley.
Yeah, I knew where you were going right away.
I am a pair of bushy eyebrows away from looking like the Cholo.
Hey, Lenny, you go to school today?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm this far away from looking like the Cholo from Training Day.
Cabrone.
And I stopped and went, oh no, this is going to be a problem. And then later I showed it to my wife and she said, oh boy. That was her first thing. Not even like, you're conflating or whatever. She was like, oh boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, no,
This is a problem.
That's an issue.
That's an issue.
She goes, well, at least your eyebrows are thinner. Great.
That's true. That's a good movie, though. There could be worse people to be compared to.
So the mustache lives, I don't know for how much longer, because I don't think, like, if guys start throwing me gang signs when I walk around, or like, especially guys wearing high socks, like, Chris, maybe we take it there. Maybe I start showing up in a flannel shirt that's only buttoned at the top button.
You look like you lead the North Tonawanda division of the Latin Kings.
I'm going to get stabbed because you said that. Thanks. So
we got a location on the leader of the Latin Kings. Show up to this live podcast. Everyone's just waiting out in front when we finish.
It would be the greatest podcast of all time. I just get dragged out.
That would be terrible.
Terrible.
It'd be funny if they drag you out and then, like, as they take you out, someone pops their head back in and is like, "We love the show, thanks."
We love. They yell, "Cover one, cover
yeah,
one,
right.
Cover one."
Real quick, what do you guys think about LaVisca Chanel? Get out of here.
Guys, this is the Rock Power Report. We are here, and it is week 1 of NFL free agency, and there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of shenanigans have taken place, and I'm here for all of it. Underreactions, overreactions, that's the theme of the night. We want to talk about everybody who might be a little bit unhinged. Some of my favorite storylines from the week as we wait for people to, guys, in the chat, what's your favorite storyline of the first week of NFL free agency?
So far in the chat, it's your mustache.
Man.
I mean, this thing is epic.
It's a choice.
I may never get rid of it at this point. I want to look like Yosemite Sam. The problem is the way my hair is, it might just curl up on me and turn into one of those Barnum and Bailey type things.
Or like an evil person who puts women
like Snively
on a railroad.
Whiplash.
Yeah, puts women on a railroad track.
Snively Whiplash. And then I'm going to have to wax it. And then that doesn't go anywhere good.
Mustache wax is so expensive in this economy.
In this economy? A waxed mustache?
This economy.
I want to start with Zach Wilson's hilarious return to the AFC East. Can we talk about the fact that Chris Greer, GM of the Miami Dolphins, who caught a mountain, and deservedly so, of flack for not having a better plan at backup quarterback, for a quarterback who we all know is going to miss games, Zach Wilson is your answer. How can anyone celebrate this if you're a Miami Dolphins fan?
It's so brutal. It's so rough. I mean, also, it
couldn't have happened to a better group of people.
That's fair. I feel like there's no... Oh, well, that's fair, but also debatable. And no one's ever happy with their backup QB situation, but especially someone is just like to your point, Tua, for better or for worse, is probably going to miss some time. And your backup is more volatile than Tua is by far and offers no stability. In any way, I thought the Teddy Bridgewater signing was cool. I was like, oh, that's a real calming factor at backup QB. Cool. Just somebody who can, if you have Tua, you need someone like a Jacoby Brissett. And I understand that costs more money or is more significant, and maybe you think if you're Miami, maybe Miami thinks the way that Bills think about Josh Allen. Well, if our QB goes down, we're screwed anyway, so whatever. But just, man, it's very much having Zach Wilson as your backup QB is throwing a fucking deck chair off the Titanic to try and stop it from sinking. You're not doing anything. Why? Good job. Good. What are you doing?
I can't wait till we get to play him. I can't wait till we get to play him.
I refuse to acknowledge things like that because I'm very superstitious. The Tua will go down and Zach Wilson leads the Dolphins a 27 victory over the Bills, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna punch you in that mustache. And we're gonna have a problem.
How about this, guys? Aaron Rodgers dominating the headlines for a third straight season.
Man,
a third straight season, and I saw a tweet today where he was stoically looking out at a lake, trying to hey,
yeah, with the blanket and
guys, I just have to wrap myself in a blanket and go stare stoically at the water while I contemplate my future. I want to hit him with a car.
Very old man.
I want him to be looking out there at the ocean and just mow him down with a golf cart. Not enough to kill him, just enough to maim him. Just enough for him to have to get up and limp it off.
Just so that he'll remember it forever, but he's still going to have a good quality of life.
He'll still have a fine quality of life, but he'll always have a little hitch in his
He'll
step.
always have a little hitch in his giddy up. That's exactly what I was thinking. And when every time he hitches, he'll think of me.
He'll be like, man,
know.
that lake, I shouldn't have been standing there like an ass.
That blanket did nothing for me.
All of the teams vying for Aaron Rodgers' services are cooked, right? There's no way to salvage this mess. Like, if you're the Steelers or the Giants, I don't know how you recover from this.
Giants, definitely, yes. Steelers, I think there's an outside chance.
That they can lose in the wild card round again by 21 points. Guys,
But still,
there's a
like,
hilarious stat that for in the wild card round, for the last like 6 or 7 appearances of Mike Tomlin, everyone raves about his record. He's been trailing by 21 points at some point in the first half of every one of these games.
Yeah, they just get in by the skin of their teeth every year and then just get housed by whoever the 2 seed is, it feels like, every year.
Well, who's their quarterback? And that's always the problem, isn't it? That's always the problem. So they've done nothing to fix it, and now they think what? That Aaron Rodgers is the savior? He's the answer?
If he can be like down what he was down the stretch a little bit, if he can be like, I don't know, from like the 16th to like 20th best QB or toe the line of like middle of the pack with what they have around, they have a good offensive line in theory. I'm interested to see what Metcalf and Pickens.
Metcalf and Pickens just fighting defensive backs at the 40-yard line on a
They
go route.
excite the hell out of me from like from on the field. Like if you're talking about like explosion and athleticism, but also like pure batshit crazy. Like I want that, and then adding in like Rodgers and his hecticness, man.
Dude, they could be.
Hey, Metcalf and George Pickens, they're the APA of the AFC North.
MJ718. We're actually
like
going to
that.
talk about that here in a few minutes because I have questions for our guest tonight. You know, again, I'm not what I am is I'm an entertainer who happens to like football and know a thing or two about it. I like to bring in knowers of football. I'm not a football thinker. I bring in football knowers who I then ply them with alcohol and then pick their brain about things I find hilarious.
This is just a Capri Sun with ice. It's all a lie. It's all a facade.
So what I'll say is this. Out of all the teams who are doing quarterback adjacent things or quarterback things, the Browns still have to be dumber than every single other team in the NFL, if that's even possible. Chris, if you want to go ahead and put that tweet on the screen for everybody, just so we can all get a good look at it. Yeah. So first of all, they gave up real draft capital for Kenny Pickett. And if you go ahead and take a look up there on the screen, you'll see it once it hits. It's going to be the best.
Honestly, like all the horrible cap things with Deshaun Watson are obviously it is what it is, and he's the person that he is. But this one, like trading DTR and then, man.
It's a domino effect if Anthony Schwartz quits by one route, and it's a domino effect that leads directly to a bum fight at quarterback.
Yeah.
QB1 bum fight is the way you would categorize that.
That's fantastic. I totally forgot, like, juxtaposing that with how Baker's had this, like, career renaissance in Tampa Bay. Like, they're a really legitimately sweet offense, and he's playing well. And then the Browns are saddled with, you know, Watson and, God, Kenny Pickett. Oh, that's hilarious. That's a really good name. That's a good one.
That's you know what that is this is good podcasting. We've found ways to scour the internet and bring you the snarkiest and shittiest of everybody's opinions, can crystallize it down into one podcast, and now we can all laugh at it.
That's true.
So in this way, the quarterback room there will forever define the dysfunction that is Jimmy Haslam. They're true or false? Or at least is that a fair criticism?
This whole Deshaun Watson situation, like the jettisoning of Baker Mayfield, how successful he's been, and I don't think Mayfield necessarily turns into the player that he's been in Tampa if not for having to be essentially booted from Cleveland, which kind of gives them the benefit of the doubt there, I guess, or a pass or whatever. But yeah, like sending out Baker, having all this mediocrity, I mean, coming close to playing in the AFC Championship, like they almost beat, or whenever they almost beat Kansas City in the playoffs, even though Mahomes got hurt that game. And you go from that, and then, yeah, you sign Watson, you duck all the questions about the ongoing investigation and talk about, like, oh, yeah, like, we talked to his defense attorneys, and we're pretty good. Yeah, of course you think you're pretty good. You talk to his fucking defense attorneys. Like, they're not going to be like, yeah, he did it. So
You're like, psst,
Yeah.
he did it, but we're just not going to tell anyone.
So, and they just like dance around that and then give him the and then on top of it too, like they fucked the league. Like that stupid guaranteed contract set in the wheels in motion for all the stupid guaranteed money we see at the quarterback position and all these other spots. So they hand out this stupid deal. Watson can't play football anymore. He's a piece of shit as a person. And then, yeah, now like it's such a black mark.
And
it's
what did
so
the fans
terrible.
do to deserve this? What did the
Yeah, but
Browns
see- now, but
fans
see-
do
but
other
now-
than set the lake on fire?
But see, now here's-
what did they do?
Now, here's my thing. Granted, it's not everybody. I remember seeing so many posts of Browns fans mocking all of like the massage allegations and all the sexual assault stuff. And I know every fan base has their
you're like,
thing.
I'll see you guys all in hell.
Yeah, fuck them. Like, that's not like, I don't play with, like, I don't see how you can be any person and think like no Chiefs fans were wearing like Tyreek Hill jerseys, making a joke about like breaking a kid's arm or assaulting like his baby mama. People were like getting Watson jerseys with like the number of sexual allegations on it and making t-shirts about it. And I know that's probably a very small sect, but fuck those people. And so they everybody loves to reap, and then they're upset when they have to fucking sow that shit. And that's what you got.
And so here's what I love. They also, as someone pointed out in the comments, got rope-a-doped by Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett did this whole publicity tour about how I'm done, I'm finished, I want out. Because he had no guaranteed money left in his contract. And then he got everybody all riled up with a couple public comments and just laid back on the ropes. And just let the franchise punch itself into a place where they had to give him $40 million guaranteed.
I want out. I want to play for a winner. I really just want the money.
This is it. Like, what was your gut reaction when you saw the money he signed for, knowing that the Bills were trying to get him, and then going, he did what? Oh, okay. Okay, well, there was no way Brandon Beane was ever greenlighting that.
That was my first thought. I was like, oh, okay, so we never stood a shot. Like, if he wanted an extension, like, I mean, granted, maybe he would have signed with a winner for less money potentially or whatever. But when I saw that, it just really, for me, was kind of just par for the course with how it is. How many times do we see, like, the guys that are like, no, like, I don't want to stay here with this team. No, I want to go to a place like that prioritizes winning. No, I want a championship. And then it's like, oh, the team that you don't want to be with offers you some record-setting deal. And you're like, okay, I'm fine with it. And I'm not saying that judgingly. Like, I got no problem with it, especially in the sport. I say this all the time, especially in a sport like the NFL, where literally your next rep of game, of practice, of anything could be your last that you play.
Yep.
I got no problem with the dude chasing the bag. But the whole song and dance of like, I want to play for a winner, and I don't want to be part of this dysfunctional organization. Oh, what's that? You're going to give me $40 million? I love Cleveland.
This place rules.
Yeah.
I'm the best. You're the best. This place is the best. I've always meant
I
that.
want to live in a city that leads like the country in buildings with broken glass in it. Like, that's what I want to do.
Let's not forget that he asked for
that
a
a
meeting.
per capita
He
stat or
asked for a meeting with Jimmy Haslam, and Haslam was like, "No,
No,
I'm
he
good."
did. That's not. Is that really true?
Yeah, he asked.
What a fucking idiot.
He asked-
Haslam, I mean, not Garrett. Haslam.
Miles Garrett asked for a meeting with Jimmy Haslam, and he said no.
That's
Matthew.
so wild.
I can't wait to talk about Matthew Morgan's point in the comments. Just hold on, Matthew. Hang around. It's going to be awesome. But so here's what I say. Good for him. He signed this deal.
Yeah, do you, dog?
It's going to be Myles Garrett's last meaningful W. But it's okay because he gets to do the Huel thing from Breaking Bad where he just cries himself to sleep on a bed made out of crisp $100 bills. Like, that's
Nice reference.
That's it. But so that kind of told everybody what this was going to be. We went into the offseason believing that there was going to be this robust trade market for edges. We were like, oh my God, I can't wait to see where Max Crosby goes and Myles Garrett ends up. It could change the NFL. And it all ended up being nothing. It was a big...
Crosby, at least, though, like, he never wanted to leave Vegas. Like, he's never done this song and dance. Like, he wants to be with the Raiders. Like, he likes where he is. Like, he's never...
He hates Patrick Mahomes.
That is true. So
He
good on
likes
him.
being there.
I love Max Crosby. Like, on the field, off the field, like, he is what he is. But yeah, he didn't do the song and dance, but...
Joe Fryer, everyone has a price. I mean, I'd do some stuff for $40 million a year.
But again,
you know?
that's it. So like, I could probably be okay with the losing and the dysfunction if you gave me $40
You know, we
million.
saw that in August of '94 when Tatanka sold out to Ted
Oh, the $1
DiBiase.
Million Man. That's
Yeah.
right.
I remember when
Bastard.
Tatanka turned heel, and as a kid, I was disgusted. I was like, well, you're dead to me.
We were talking about that when I came in. I came in today, and I was like, hey, Drew. And you were like, you remember when Tatanka turned heel in 94? That was such a pivotal moment for me. I was like, Drew, really? Wrestling talk already? Ugh. And I eye rolled it.
So what ended up happening is Garrett and Miles Crosby set the market, and then nobody else got traded, and everybody else went fucking wild.
Yes.
Here's what I'll say. Javon Kinlaw and Tershawn Wharton getting paid $15 million a year average annual value.
And Washington doing that by jettisoning Jonathan Allen to then bring in Javon Kinlaw at that money is just very funny.
It's objectively hilarious
Yes.
if you know football. If anybody's ever watched a single game of Jets or Commanders football, you understand why it's hilarious that these people are doing these things.
They're not great.
Tershawn Wharton, career backup in Kansas City, is now getting paid starter money.
Yeah, man.
He's getting paid starter money for what? Why?
Yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence is probably my silver tuna here because at 32 years old, fresh off a 4-game season, he went directly onto IR in October. Injured his foot, went on IR. He's 32 years old. I assumed a prove-it deal was in the works. And instead, he signs a massive contract with the Seahawks. It's like, what is happening here? Why is everyone getting paid? And we saw that dynamic playing out. We saw that getting a lot of run on social media. Shock. Awe.
What a thought.
Exasperation about the state of spending in the NFL. Why are cornerbacks? Like, who's getting paid what?
Man.
Horn is getting paid how much a year?
I thought it was 4 years, $100 million. He's the highest paid corner, I think, in NFL history now.
Yeah.
Like some wild deal.
People are like, wait a minute, what corners are making what? How is this happening?
He's sweet, but he's just been hurt 2 of his 4 years. He hasn't played.
So, guys, let me walk you through, let me give you guys a little lesson in cap dynamics. So, Chris has a chart here he's going to flash on the screen. There has been a salary cap explosion since 2020. In 2020, you can see it up there, Anthony. I kind of talked about this in a podcast about a week or two ago. When the Bills traded for and extended Stephon Diggs, the salary cap was $198 million. It's gone up $81 million in the 5 years since then. That's a 41% increase.
Hashtag math.
It's crazy. And this is what has fueled the fact that the trade market this year actually had better players involved in it than the free agency market did. Because teams are now they have more money. They can hang on to players longer. And players are now like still under contract when teams see the end of the road coming and can offload them faster so that a new team can negotiate the contract. Here's what's crazy. Players' salaries have nowhere near kept up with the inflation of the salary cap, and you can see it in this graph. When you look at the line chart there, what you see is that the salary cap has gone up year over year. And if you look at the beginning and you look at the end, in 2020, I just picked position groups that mattered, that seemed to get a lot of run, get a lot of pay. Quarterback, wide receiver, edge, and cornerback. And just looked at the average pay across all 32 teams every year for the last 5 years. Do you know that in 2020, quarterback, wide receiver spend was 18% of the cap? Like 18% of all available dollars.
Yeah, all the caps, people, what they were.
All of the caps that everybody had.
on their heads.
If you go to the end, where they're now getting paid an average of $50 million in combined income, it's back to 18%. But look at those years where you went from 37 down to 33 to 31 to 37. There was a point in the NFL here where we all as fans were watching free agency, not really understanding that they were still underpaying players by comparison to how quickly the cap was rising. Now, a lot of teams spent money.
Yeah.
Most teams spent to the cap who were trying to win.
Yeah, or tried to round out the roster instead of maybe necessarily spending on these 4 positions.
There was a lot of teams that didn't, though. And that's what offsets this.
Fair.
And so what happens is a course correction back to the mean. This is what's called, folks in finance, a market correction, where you go, wait a minute. The Players Association in 2023 goes, these owners are making a fuck ton of money and they're getting paid a bunch and they're getting paid more because of these streaming deals. Where's our piece? And so you watched as salaries had to increase because players were starting to hold out. Players were starting to threaten not to show up to camp. Players were demanding trades. And now look who got traded or look who got paid. Guys who asked for trades or alluded to they could be open to them. They've now reset the market for everybody else to then fill in behind them in average pay. So when you watch this, right, it shouldn't shock anybody that the positions that exploded behind it, cornerback, 10 deals. I picked these specifically. 10 deals at the cornerback position with a double-digit annual average value of over $16 million. It's pretty good for one off-season cycle that everyone thought was mediocre. But it's because we're just getting back to where things were 5 years ago in terms of how much are you paying for things. The defensive line market got hit by the ripple effect of Garrett and Crosby, but even then, it happened the previous year too. Pay stepped up. You got fans, the average fan would look at a deal and go, well, that guy's mid. I don't know why you're paying for him. The market dictates that's what he's worth, brother. That's what a GM has to pay. But all it is the players catching up to the growth of the cap. Now, the way GMs have combated that, have you noticed there have been no 6-year deals handed out this offseason cycle?
Oh, good call, yeah.
There's no 5-year deals. There have been 4. A couple.
2s and 3s for the
most of them are 2 and 3 year deals with multiple void years.
And yeah, usually, and even the 3s are more like 2 with a 1, and there's an opt-out.
Now you're seeing it. So even
I math from time to time.
Even as the cap climbs, the NFL has mathed its way to being like, okay, we still want to make this fucking money. We don't want to pay it to the players. So here's what we're going to, or at least we don't want to have to. So here's what we're going to do to control the market. We'll let you guys have your day in the sun. We're going to give all of you DBs who are at the top of this 10 million, 11 million, 15 million. We don't give a shit because it's 2 years. And then we're going to tack on a couple void years, which get you under cap compliance, but the player doesn't get paid for that. That's fake money. The actual money coming out of the owner's pocket isn't impacted by the void years you're giving. And that's the thing that I find interesting about this. So cap hits rising the way that they have directly played a role in this explosion of salaries in terms of defensive linemen, cornerback, and safeties, which sucks because those were 3 positions the Bills are. Every Bills fan everywhere this week was good. And this is my tie-in, guys. See, I can bring it around. Every Bills fan everywhere said, oh, you know what the Bills need to come out of free agency with is a cornerback, a safety, and a defensive lineman. And then they go, wait a minute, how come we didn't break the bank to do this? And I go, guys, we have a conservative GM. He's cap savvy. He always keeps us in compliance, and he has levers to pull to get it. He's not going to do what some of these teams are going to do, signing a 32-year-old DeMarcus Lawrence to that contract. That'll never happen. So in that way,
but he will sign Laviska Shenault.
I was waiting for it. It took us so long to get here.
God,
Drink.
I feel like I'm Adam Sandler in The Wedding Singer.
I've never seen it.
What?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Nice. Yeah, I've never seen it.
No, I'm not even going to make the joke. It was about the
No,
the
make
song.
the joke, 'cause plenty of people have probably seen it.
There was a song
Plenty
that
of
he
people-
wrote about I Want to Die.
I've seen that clip.
There's
That's
only
me.
4 people watching. I mean,
There's only 4 people
granted,
watching.
take away my mother who's never seen movies.
She's never seen The Wedding Singer either.
In fact, I bet you she has. I'm going to call Donna tonight. Yeah, that's
boy.
right. I have her number.
All right.
This took
I used to
took a turn.
I used to mess with Chris and just be like, man, when your mom's here, I'm going to take my shirt off and just walk around.
This is terrible. But par for the course.
It is par for the course. We are the meanest, we are the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast. So with that said, you look like you're getting low there, sir.
This whiskey sour is fantastic.
Chris, can you chef up a second one on the fly?
I mean, after
This is my second one. He's got to do things back there.
do you need if you need a third, I can do that. But also, I would like you to get home safe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to. I'm okay.
By the way, Drew, you pulled it a couple times because we don't have the ability to go to Colonial and Orchard Park. I'll go to your single. We don't have you got to pull it closer to your face because it doesn't. There you go. JW Dant. We don't have Old Tub at Colonial for $14.99 anymore, so I had to go to Attica, and I bought that for $18.99. JW Dant. I'm looking for a below $20, probably bottled in bond, 4 old fashions for the season. So JW Dant is a test run. Drew had some of it.
Not good. Not good, Bob.
Not okay. I got a vanilla bomb from it. I don't know if you had that.
It's very fake sweet.
The oaky afterbirth.
So I love how that's your go-to when you're describing whiskey.
What's that from?
Guys,
What's that from?
So here's what happened.
The Wedding Singer.
My favorite movie.
Yeah.
I've seen this so many times.
The cornerback market blew up because of this dynamic where everyone was getting underpaid, and then every GM went, all right, fine. These guys want money. They want money. They want money. Fine. We'll give them these big contracts, and we'll do it all in a 2-year window. Then we'll tack void years on, or player option years, and all these things, so that we still have mechanisms to get the hell out of Dodge if and when we want to. And they still hold all the cards in terms of cap flexibility. It's genius if you're only looking at the nuts and bolts of it and you're taking the humanity out of the equation. And so in that way, like you look at the safety market, 19 deals got signed at safety in the first 2 days. 7 of those had a double-digit AAV in contract value.
What did Javon Holland get?
3 years, 48. 3 years,
48 million.
Something that I thought was affordable that I would have done.
I would not have.
Oh.
In fact, I would have shot out the tires on the car bringing him here. I would have met him somewhere outside of Buffalo and made him walk in here if he was going to sign that contract.
Why? He's so good. He's not?
They had $130 million in total guaranteed
Hold on. Is Javon Holland not good?
I don't know. We waxed them multiple times.
What does it have to do with one player? And he was banged up last year. He was such an integral part the past couple of years. Every time they gave the Bills
he was
a problem.
good in 2021. Oh, trust me.
And after that.
If you think this is hyper, we're going to fight. It's coming.
I don't think you want it with me.
I think you want the smoke?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Strap match. Strap match. It's coming.
Texas Death Match. The new Hangman Page and Swerve.
Meanwhile, the wide receiver market had a couple overpays, but it got watered down as hell. Look at this. If Hopkins is only worth 1 year, $6 million?
$6 million, I thought.
Here's a question. What the hell is Amari Cooper's market? I mean, the guy probably had to have surgery. Sean McDermott said it in his postseason press conference. Amari Cooper probably should have had wrist surgery in the season when he got hurt. And he decided to play through it. The team needed him to. So he did. Here's the thing. He hasn't had any, he's getting no run right now in the free agent market. And I wonder if it's because he didn't go have that surgery and now everybody knows that's like an 8 or 9 week thing. Like that puts it in conflict with training camp. That's because Amari Cooper is still Amari Cooper.
I don't think he is.
No. But he's a name and some dumbass team out there someone traded for Kenny Pickett. You mean to tell me that there's no team out there that couldn't say, hey, I could rehab?
First of all, the team was the Browns. So different, grain of salt. But even just studying the tape before he came to Buffalo, he doesn't have the wheels. I thought there would be something wrong with his lower body, the way he just lacked juice. And I don't know if that's something continuing. I think it's a combination of him being somewhat of a shell of his former self, combined probably with the injury pieces and that. I don't think he's still I think the name is there, but I think people see through the name and he doesn't have that value. And then you add on a potential and we got to wait for him to come back from this injury thing and see how he is. Yeah, I think it's scaring off a lot of teams.
So then here's a question. Could he be a training camp, late off season, break glass in case things the draft doesn't fall your way option come September?
For the Bills?
Yeah.
Oh, I could see them potentially kicking the tires on that. I don't think they'll have to, but I think they could maybe have that in their back pocket a little bit and say hey, push comes to shove and things are really terrible. We'll sign him at the end of July or, August if he's still there and go from there. I think he's going to get signed before then. But I could see them potentially kicking kicking those tires.
I'm genuinely interested to see how his free agency plays out because I want to see how hurt was he really. Like, was this a thing that, oh, yeah, he actually should have had the surgery, and now he did?
They needed him on the field more than he was. And so I think I could buy that as realistic.
Yeah.
Like, they needed him on the field, and he wasn't. It was all like, why is he not getting more snaps? Especially when some of the flashes were, like, again, he lacked juice, but some of the flashes were like, oh, that's really nice. And it was like, man, can't wait till he gets more acclimated in the offense. And then each week it was like, where the fuck is Amari Cooper?
Exactly. This is the Bills fan experience, guys. We trade for people, and then we go, wait, where'd that guy go?
I think he was very much like, they were like, hey, man, can you give us 20 this game? Can you give us 17 reps? And he was like, yeah, like I can do it. Like, and every time he caught a ball, he was like,
And he had
get me off the field.
and he had to do the Chris Kruger where he goes over, he listens to Evanescence for about 30 minutes and goes, all right, I can do this. Wake me up inside. And then he runs in there and he plays 5 snaps and goes, ooh, God, that hurts.
Evanescence is a good band.
Oh,
Do you not like Evanescence?
I'll shoot a
You're
gun.
out on an island there, bud.
Yeah, you're actually
Not
the
a-
only one.
Not a fan.
I was trying to draw that out of you.
I like Evanescence. I got no
Of
problem
course
saying
you
that.
do.
Okay, if someone can not like them, that's fine.
Of course you
come
do.
fucking fight me. I don't care. They got some bangers. I know like 4 songs, but they're bangers.
We all have over and under reactions to how this went for the Buffalo Bills. And I want to out some of them right now, and we'll talk about them with people.
Somebody
who
in the
know.
chat, but save it. That's so good. Nice. Well done, Tank Ninja.
Now, I want to start with this. You want to talk about overreactions from a Bills fan base? Let's talk about the departure of Mac Hollins as a blow to the franchise and the disappearance of our culture. Because I've seen this, I've heard it, and now I want to talk about
The
it.
second overreaction over a wide receiver in consecutive off seasons.
Yeah, I want to start this with a
Or
story.
within the hour.
Well done.
I want to start this with a story. So one night I was
killed the
with
guy.
I was dating a girl who actually was the girl who introduced me and Chris. She was the foundation of this friendship.
Brittany, she's a bitch.
Good start.
I didn't have to say it. So what happens is she and I used to do the thing where we were a volatile, heavy drinking couple who were dysfunctional human beings who probably shouldn't have been with anybody, but we were with each other because we were like, we both had a parasitic relationship with each other. And so it worked.
This got deep.
And then we'd break up every 10 months.
That tracks.
Like clockwork. I used to joke with her, do you have a boyfriend in the Navy whose ship comes in like once a year? And that's why this happens. So what happens is I wake up in the middle of the night being screamed at and shaken because she went through my phone and she found out that while we were broken up, I had been kind of talking to one of her friends. Now, mind you, she's not mad at her friend. She's mad at me. So she packs all my stuff
My
out.
ex-wife?
Pretty much. This is the thing. Packs all of my stuff into a suitcase and he's screaming at me. She goes, I don't care. We're both like we've had a night out with her friends. Her friends are still in the house as she's drunkenly screaming at me about, I don't care where you go, but you get the hell out of here. She packed her suitcase full of my stuff and shoved me out the front door.
Oh.
I'm half awake. I was like, and obviously you feel something, right? Like you're like, what? And you're trying to defend yourself, but you're half awake. And so what do? But get in the car,
Sleep on the front lawn.
get in the car, drive home, get back to my apartment. And there was a part of me that was like starting to get a little teary eyed, like a little weepy, like, I can't believe this. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I go, wait a minute. Mario Williams is in town. And I immediately open the laptop and go to twitter.com and start looking for Mario Williams free agency updates because I was like, he was at a hockey game tonight. Oh, he's definitely going to sign here. And it fixed everything.
So this is 2012?
Yes.
Wow.
I was driving back from Albany, and I had just moved here within the year, so I was still on T-Mobile, and T-Mobile in New York State only works in actual cities.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you're Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, Albany,
Yeah, I have T-Mobile.
Schenectady,
Yeah. Utica?
Utica. I think I was in Utica on my way back, and I could not get I could not stream GR. So I was not getting the consistent Mario Williams updates.
So that breakup in the middle of NFL free agency hurt me less than watching Mac Hollins leave the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Go to the fucking Patriots of all teams.
There's some deeper theme here, some part that we're not unpacking, but fair point.
I mean, if you want the honest truth, I was talking to her friend, and I didn't give a damn if she found out.
Stacy?
I was more upset that I got shoved out the door half awake, and I left my favorite pair of boxers there, and like they just got lost in the shuffle.
You just played some Evanescence and you overcame it.
Do you know we got back together right after that?
That tracks.
Of course we did, because that's what toxic couples
Mario
do.
Williams brings people together. The signing was so powerful. It healed the relationship.
So here's what I loved about Mac Hollins. He embodied dirtbag football for the Buffalo Bills. That roughneck throwback style of catalytic football. Hey, I'm gonna make a splash play in the receiving game, and also I'm gonna go maul a guy on special teams. And then when it comes time to run block, I'm gonna grab some guy by the fucking hair. I will do whatever it takes to win. And that seemed to infect the offense. You saw a grasp on that. I've heard a lot of talk.
I need full proof.
We're talking about Brittany. He needs the strong stuff. I've seen a lot of talk from very smart people about the idea that Keon Coleman does a lot of the same things Mac Hollins did, and he can just step in and fill that role. But I think that's a lot of weight to try to put on a kid's shoulders. What do you think about him having to not only be like, hey, play the Mac Hollins role, also the culture carrier of a football team?
I don't think the culture carrier of the football team is necessarily going to fall onto him. I think that's a larger, and I don't necessarily know if Hollins was the culture carrier. I think he was a piece of it, and his uniqueness and the character that he was added a dynamic to it. But I think the culture is very much established and consistent and will run. No disrespect whether or not he's here. And so I think Keon could contribute to that or could be a detriment to it, but I don't think Mac Hollins in his 1 year, as positive as he was and as effective as he was on and off the field, I don't think he was the culture carrier. I'm more concerned from a schematic standpoint.
And that's why I like talking to you.
He was a really good blocker. And I know people made jokes like, oh, we don't need him to be like a wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 4. Like before Amari Cooper came, Mac Hollins was the answer against cover 0. And he was actually pretty fucking good at it. And he was a better receiver than he got credit for. And I still think he's a better receiver than he gets credit for. But the blocking was so important. This team, for Josh Allen and Josh Allen winning the MVP and it being a passing league and yada, yada, well, you know, that's dissipated a little bit now with how much the run matters. The run game really matters. And when you have an offense that has a second tight end that is more of a receiver than a tight end, you need bigger body types at wide receiver who can function as power slots or quasi tight ends. And Mac Hollins' ability to function as a quality blocker in the screen game and the quick little RPOs and the quick check with me's at the line, let alone his ability to fit up different body types on duo. I think that schematically matters. Now, I think the hope is Keon can do that while also taking a jump as a pass catcher. That, I think, is very much a wait and see because Mac Hollins did his role and he did it well. But I think Keon should be able to fill it. It's just a matter of if his trajectory is in line to do that.
Now, Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman. These are the guys who are, and Laviska Shenault. Guys, let's not forget Laviska Shenault.
You're so angry about some player who's going to mean nothing.
I
No
swear to
disrespect
God.
to
I'm just mad that he did. I'm mad that they did it.
But it's not going to matter.
Who cares? Because now you know what that is. No, it does matter. You know why? Because you put some amount of guaranteed money in the hands of a guy who would have made less than a rookie.
How do you know? But we don't even see the contract. Maybe they gave him like the vet min.
Who cares? Vet minimum, you are now occupying, and this is a dynamic. In fact, we're just going to skip ahead to it.
Hold on. I got a problem. Michael in the comments said culture guys matter. Just look at AEW after Cody left. First of all, comparing.
Here comes the wrestling chat.
Comparing Cody Rhodes to Cody and AEW to Mac Hollins here, I think are two vastly different things. Cody was an integral part to the creation and foundation. Mac was a one-year guy who contributed but wasn't the core part of the foundation. I do agree that culture matters. I also think Cody Rhodes is horribly overrated as a wrestler, and he's terrible in the ring, and he bores the hell out of me. But beside that, I appreciate that from Michael very much.
Ryan Rhodes hits the nail on the head.
Who's Ryan?
Ryan
I
Rhodes.
thought you were saying Cody Rhodes' name wrong.
No, Ryan Rhodes.
If you turn around to the middle shelf, the Ironweed whiskey. Yep, right there.
Yep.
That Ryan Rhodes distilled that bottle.
Can you grab that bottle, hand it to me?
You grab that bottle, smash it.
Let's give it a shot. Hey, guys, Ironweed whiskey. There you go.
No, I liked it, Michael. That was a good comp.
That's a Ryan Rhodes original. So what I guess I'm looking at here is this idea that you're better without Matt Collins. And I don't buy that. And I also think that when you're talking about the money you're going to give to a rookie in Laviska fucking Chenault, I've already watched you suck in the pros. I've already watched you go to teams and really struggle to contribute positively
Somebody's
to their
got to
offensive.
eat snaps in the preseason and camp, man.
But my point is that you have a roster spot. You have a roster spot, and they gave you some amount of guaranteed money, which gives them an incentive to prioritize you over taking a rookie or taking somebody off the street to take your spot.
I don't think it's going to really deter them from doing anything different. I'm sorry. I'll let you vent. I'm sorry.
No. Because I'm grieving. Yeah, these are the stages of grief that I'm going through over here.
Yeah, if anybody in the chat would like to throw in numbers if they see it online.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just broke maybe an hour and a half ago. I'm trying to keep up with it.
You know what'll make me feel better?
It'll make Drew angrier.
I was gonna say because
pending the numbers.
Chaos is a ladder, and some men just want to see the world burn. I really just want to see 2 years, 20 million, 18 guaranteed.
If I find out that they gave Laviska Chenault real guaranteed money, Chris, I'll flip this. You better take the cameras off those things. I'll buy new ones. I'm going to kick all these things down.
I really want to see it.
Take
it would be
these
so
cameras
terrible, but I
off
want
these
it.
stands, and I'm going to kick them all down.
I like it.
I'm going to kick them all down.
I gotta be honest. I don't know. Do you, that's an RVD level type of kick there. That type of flexibility. You're going to be able to kick the. Are you going to roundhouse kick them? You're going to
I think you underestimate after years of Krav Maga how flexible
Crescent kick, like speedball Mike Bailey.
That's what I was gonna say. Or a little black mass from Alistair Black. So what kind of? Are you doing a little super kick, a little Shawn Michaels Sweet Chin music? Are you doing a roundhouse kick here?
Oh, probably just a straight push kick.
Wow. Okay.
Just
so
violence.
You got it like that, huh?
Violence.
Okay.
I just want that.
Now I kind of want to, regardless of what happens, I need you to kick one of these over after the show. I need to see that.
Oh, as soon as we get that Laviska Chenault money, it's coming.
Oh, I really want to see.
So, Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman, in your professional opinion, is that enough to supplement the wide receiver depth chart? That we are so good in terms of receiving talent that we no longer need to worry about that we can choose to eschew some of the blocking advantage we had from a Matt Collins?
I think, starting with Palmer, I think Palmer is a piece to the puzzle. I like the piece that he brings. His route running, for a guy who's got a good combination of size and route running, and what he offers winning in the underneath and the intermediate, I think is nice. I think some of the stuff with him is a little overblown on both sides, typically. One side is he sucks, this is a horrible signing, and the other side is talking about him like he's the best man-beating wide receiver in the history of wide receivers. I think he's a piece to the puzzle. Again, good release.
A little bit less than John Brown is what I was calling him.
I wouldn't. He's a completely different player. John Brown was smaller stature and a burner. That's even someone I've heard with with Palmer too. Palmer has a high average depth of target, and they would send him on this vertical stuff, but he's not a vertical threat. He's not a burner. He's got some. He's 6'1", 210 pounds, and he runs in the 4.5s. He's got some. He's got some explosion in the 0 to 10. But when he's that dude, you're like, okay, he's running full speed once he hits 10 yards, and you're like, let's see him open it up and get that next gear. He doesn't have that next gear. He can get behind guys because he does have some, athleticism and speed to him. But he's not beating anybody outright downfield. He's not this stretch the field kind of guy. His bread and butter is made because he's a bigger guy with good arm length and size who has hip flexibility. He can sink his hips and he has good feet. And for a guy who's not very sudden, he's got sharpness and precision to his routes. He can snap off a deep comeback. He has a good release. He's got some juice and some wiggle on the release. He's good on in breakers. And he's got deception in his stems, especially for that size. Now, him and Keon supplementing, I think it's very much wait and see if either of them can fill the Matt Collins blocking role. I think Palmer is a better receiver than Matt Collins is, especially from a precision standpoint and a separation standpoint. I don't think he's garbage. I don't think he's the elite separator that it's been made out to be. I thought the contract was a little more than I thought it would be. I thought he would get somewhere between 6.5 to maybe 8.5 tops. But as you have in our notes here, the wide receiver market, Tutu Atwell is getting 1 year, 10 mil. De'Ami Brown is getting 10 mil. So the market
Brown is
kind of what it is. And then, Palmer's still young. There's still an opportunity for some upside. I think I use this reference and metaphor a lot. He adds to the basketball lineup of the wide receiver room. Like, you want a point guard, you want a shooting guard, power forward, or small forward, power forward, center. He gives you the route runner and the separator. I still think they need somebody with juice to separate and create speed, or not create speed, create space from a vertical presence.
Sure.
And speed, and a deep speed standpoint.
But I hated the fact that everyone kept saying Christian Kirk.
For Palmer?
I hated that. I just hated in general.
Wanted Kirk.
The idea that everyone wanted Kirk.
I wouldn't have minded Kirk.
It's 70% of the snaps out of the slot.
But that's a fair point.
Demoted Shakir, who you just paid.
I don't think there's schematic redundancy there, and the fit I think is a bit of a question. And then too, if you're adding Kirk on the field, okay, like is he on the field because should probably get the ball because is he going to be a blocker?
So then,
he's not going to function in the condensed look.
So what I'll ask you is, I almost feel like if the speed element's ever going to enter our passing game, it almost has to come from the outside.
Well, yeah, that's where you ideally would want it, and ideally, Palmer has some kind of. Ideally, it would come from your X receiver, and Palmer has some elements of a true X, again, with what he can do on his releases, what he can do in his stems, what he can do on the breaks, the deception, the feet, the hip sync, the ability to separate at multiple points. Now, he doesn't have, and he's got some good size, but he doesn't have that vertical speed, burner, field stretch speed that you would potentially like to see. And again, I still think that element is needed, but he can win on the outside because he is a good route runner and he operates with precision and deception in his routes.
Now, what I'll say is I'm not mad about Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we're here in a place where our wide receiver core is still rounded out. But I feel like all of the negativity over the departure of Mac Hollins and all the people who were crying about, oh my God, I can't believe we lost him, were just as pissed off when they found out that Damar Hamlin is coming back.
I don't even want to talk about this.
Oh, I know. Most people don't. Somebody at work. Hang on. Can I say this? Chris, I'm going to make a joke. It'll probably go over poorly. You in the chat, let me know. Somebody walked up to me at work and they were like, oh, this is how I found out we re-signed him. They go, oh, did you hear about Hamlin? I go, oh, you mean football Jesus? And they go, what? I go, well, he fell and then rose a couple days later and everyone else in the break room went, ooh,
yeah, that's
bad taste. I go, look, it's the guy.
I'd call HR.
What you don't know.
He technically died on the field?
Yes.
He technically died on the field.
Wild, man.
And then he's back out there playing. I give the man all the credit in the world. We sat here and did an hour-long podcast afterwards. In fact, I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes. And that was a week where nobody was doing shows because they were like, this is fucked.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call Ty Dunn and we're going to talk about his conversation with him. And then we're going to talk about how his situation impacts our individual relationships with football and how it reminds you that these guys are guys. And it almost forces you to see the humanity of the sport that you try to forget every week.
But now everybody's like, you can't cover. Fuck them.
Exactly. And that's it. We've gone right back to that because do you guys remember the show Community where they're doing the debate over whether people are good or bad? It's like people are inherently bad. Why? Because they forgot all about this. So Damar Hamlin's back and yet everyone's mad about it. I heard from someone that he was a Make-A-Wish safety. They were like, oh, good. So because this happened, we have to put him in here. And I was like, oh, my God, that's a hot take. That's a hot take on top. Like, take that to, I mean, what's the hottest planet? I don't even know.
I was going to say hell.
Yeah, you take that straight to hell. It's still a hot take. What I will say is he's fine. And it's also a 1-year contract. The 1-year contract, though, makes me question. Like, first of all, look at the Derek Forrester signing.
Just Forrest.
Forrester. It doesn't fucking matter.
So 2 different names.
Bishop, in theory, should be his direct competition.
Hamlin's competition?
I believe so.
There shouldn't be any direct competition. Cole Bishop should beat Damar Hamlin.
So then the kamikaze next to him, over there in Taylor Rapp.
This is so overblown to me. Guys hit each other all the time. Why? Not even with this conversation. Why are we not doing that with Hamlin, who knocked out Christian Benford from the Chiefs game?
100%.
Why are we not doing that? Like, it happens all the time. Friendly fire happens in a sport where the goal is to get big, strong, and fast and put on equipment and slam your fucking body into other guys for 60 minutes a week.
Taylor Rapp was our best safety last year because that's his approach. And that's my point. You just hit the nail on the head. That explosion right there from Anthony.
That was an explosion.
No, he goes that way.
Hold up. Swig that.
Oh, boy.
Swig that, Anthony. Above where you got the ironweed. Right above it. Benchmark single barrel. Top shelf. Top shelf.
Yeah, no, he wants you drinking all of his cheap shit.
No. Because I need a whiskey for tailgates.
Are these all the same?
Benchmark single barrel.
I got it.
Right up there. I'm going to need you to pound that because we got to have I need a cheap under $20 bourbon for tailgates.
Right.
Tailgate.
Get yourself some Kool-Aid, mix it with some Hawaiian punch.
So
good.
So, as you were just about to light me on fire.
That is not.
I love it. I love this though because I don't get to see this Anthony Prohaska anywhere else.
Yeah, we haven't seen an Inferno match in a while.
So Taylor Rapp might have been our best safety last year.
Yeah.
And so with that said, Cole Bishop probably could take that starting job. And then you factor in Forrest, who I have it on good authority from two different Commanders fans that we collaborate with, literally who only follow us because I have hated and done hate podcasts about Daniel Snyder for no reason. And they were like, why are you writing these podcasts? Why are you doing this?
What is your plan here?
I go, because I fucking hate that guy and I hope he dies. And they're like, us too. Awesome. High five.
Yeah.
They said he's a baller. He's just been looking for an opportunity. Hamlin on a 1-year contract. Is he the least athletic safety in the room right now?
Yes. Rapp is, if we're talking like least athletic and ranking them from least athletic to most, it's Hamlin, Rapp, Forrest, Bishop.
Yeah. So you have a chance right now to remake what your safety room is.
Yeah.
You have a chance right now to shift the paradigm of, hey, I need cerebral kind of, hey, I don't care if they're underwhelming athletes. They're so smart that they know where to be and when to be. Well, guess what? That dried up. Now what I need is bangers. Now I need missiles.
Straight bangers.
And they're watching Taylor Rapp go, hey, he looks pretty good in this system. How can I get more of that? Hey, Cole Bishop, he's a pretty smart kid, but also he's physical and he can run around. Hey, can I bring in a Forrest? All right, well, he looks good.
A whole Forrest?
Run, Forrest, run.
Spin in the comments says Forrest is the complete opposite of Hamlin.
Of course.
Anthony, true or false?
From an athleticism standpoint, yeah. I mean, he's got the athleticism to play deep. You can ask him to cover different body types from a man perspective, from a match perspective.
What I heard is he's a hitter.
Yeah, he's got some really good highlight level hits. I dug into his tape last night and today. He's also somebody there was a stretch for a couple of years out of Cincinnati. He came out in the 2021 draft. It was him and a safety. I think it was not Andrew Wiggins, James Wiggins. It was him and another safety that were pretty fun. And then the year after, I think Brian Cook came out. And then like the year after that was Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner. Like Cincinnati was putting out some DBs. And I know this because when they released Forrest, I was like, oh, I remember I liked him. Like I was handwriting my notes during that time and I can't find them, but I searched my name and his name on Twitter and I found a bunch of clips that I had clipped from 2021 with him on the Cincinnati defense. And he's a fun player. Like, and to the point, like most of his snaps, meaningful snaps, came in the 2022 season. He had 4 interceptions. He's got the ability to play like the single high post safety type of role. Hamlin doesn't because he's not athletic enough. Rapp does because he's got some athleticism, but he's smart enough and able to read and process and diagnose, but you still don't want him living in the post. Forrest is a really interesting person within the safety room right now. And I think the Bills, in an ideal world, your safety combo right now is I don't want to get into RAS. We can pull
Chris
it up.
is already pulling it up.
Sorry, somebody in the comments.
It's a good measure. My problem is
Joe Fryer in the comments brought up his RAS.
No, and his
9.69.
It's good. And so to Joe's point, what I like about his RAS, and I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth here. What I like about his RAS is I think that does translate on the field. Like, you watch him play and you're like, oh, yeah, he is athletic. I've seen other guys who have a great RAS score and you're like, he's not athletic. That shit sucks. And I think a lot of people use the RAS score as a measure of like, well, this guy is actually super athletic. Look at his score. I think there's a difference between functional on-field athleticism versus timed drill. I'm preparing for this one drill and this one rep and this one routine.
Sure.
Versus what it actually looks like on the field.
Yep.
Play speed versus time speed. And then on-field athleticism mixed with the processing, all of those things. But
I think that guy, there's been plenty of football players over the years who have proven out that RAS isn't the indicator of whether or not you're a good football player.
But to Joe's point, like, he's got a good RAS, and I do think you see some of that on the field. Like, but if you told me, well, his RAS sucks, I'd be like, I don't care. He's athletic on the field. I think the safety room is very interesting because I think for the Bills in an ideal world, your safety grouping is Rapp and Bishop. And this is a larger conversation for me individually. I still don't think Cole Bishop's a good fit in this defense. I like him individually in a vacuum as a player. I don't love him. I thought he could do some fun things. I don't think the fit is great in the Bill system in a vacuum. I don't think his pairing with Rapp is really a good pairing. I don't think his pairing with Hamlin is a good pairing. I don't think the pairing of Hamlin and Rapp is a good pairing, ideally. Forrest, I think, is a fun wild card who could compete, honestly, for safety 3 and even safety 2. Like, if you told me Forrest wins the job, it wouldn't be crazy. But I think for 3 out of the 4 guys, there's a lot of schematic and skill set redundancy that I think leaves you vulnerable.
Can I ask you this?
Well, I was
just as you talking about this.
Yes.
I don't need specifics, but then at what round are you going at safety?
If Malachi Starks from Georgia, right now, I'll put it like this. Right now, I think the pick at 30 needs to be a corner. Right now, if somebody falls really good from a defensive tackle standpoint or an edge standpoint or
like,
wide receiver.
Like Trent McDuffie?
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't. How dare you? Yeah. Like, man, I love McDuffie. If a best player available in another spot falls, I'm okay with it. But I think corner needs to be the focus. If Jahdae Barron from Texas is there, I'm pulling the trigger. If Trey Amos from Ole Miss is there, I'm pulling the trigger. I'd also be okay with a couple others. I don't want to derail the conversation too much. But I say all that to say, if Malachi Starks from Georgia is there at 30, I am very, very comfortable taking him at 30 because of his individual. I have a high 2, almost into a 1 with him. But I have no problem taking him at the back end of round 1 because of what he offers, what I think his fit would be, and how he pairs with the other safeties. I also wouldn't be opposed to taking a safety and with one of the round 2 picks. It's annoying too because you spent a 2 on Bishop. But Rapp's contract has a good out this year. Like, you could cut Taylor Rapp and there's no dead cap. Yeah. There's
if somebody supplants it, the cornerback room is wildly unsettled. Now, as we're talking about the secondary, obviously earlier in the show, people were asking in the comments about the state of like, oh, Elam's gone. Almost talking about him like he was the Wicked Witch of the West, and we threw water on him and he dissolved and we all cheered.
I was reading the comments. I'm sorry.
What I'll say is I don't think this was an overreaction at all. I do think that the departure of Kaiir Elam was good for every party involved. I think it's good for the player to go find a new fit, a new scheme fit, a new team, a new coaching tree, because whatever went on here in Buffalo didn't work for him. And also, I think that it's a thing of people get caught up in the vitriol and like to dance on the grave of like, hey, we hated this guy because he did bad in a couple games. And it's
like Stephon Diggs.
It's like, it's a dude, right?
Yeah, it's a person.
He's a dude. He's out there just doing things.
It's funny because I'm sure a lot of those people are also the same ones like, you saw the interception against Kansas City. Why isn't he in there more? He's awesome. He needs to be playing. What are we doing? Why does Sean McDermott suck?
But here's why I'll say that they're a better...
Fuck, it's a taco over here.
Yes.
Where am I?
Partham.
Malachi Starks, didn't he just leave AEW? Nice. Ricky Starks, you know that. You were super upset. You texted me. Michael, quick peek behind the curtains. Drew texted me that night. He's like, you saw they didn't re-sign Ricky Starks? What the hell? And now I just saw him on NXT and he's going by Ricky Saints? What's happening here? He's been talking to me about the theme song. Crazy.
So when you watch Elam get traded, what you realize is that it opens the door for not just CB2, but also CB3.
Yeah.
And that's good because ultimately we found out this year we don't have a CB3.
I will say I do like some things that Jamarcus Ingram does.
But they didn't trust him when it mattered the most, and that's the problem.
I mean, he was the dime guy to start the year. When Taron was hurt and Cam was the nickel, Ingram
the problem
was the
I have
guy.
with this entire discourse is everyone goes, oh, yeah, he ruined that Chiefs game. He shouldn't have been in the Chiefs game. It should have been Jamarcus Ingram from the hop. And the fact that the coaching staff doesn't believe that tells you that their eyes are seeing something else in practice. Their eyes are seeing something else behind the scenes.
This conversation now happening is so funny because this is the same. I wasn't a big fan of Elam coming out. I didn't think the fit was right. I am on record on Twitter and on show saying this thing.
You like Trent McDuffie?
I love Trent McDuffie. I also liked Roger McCreary, who ended up becoming a pretty good nickel for the Titans, though I still think he could play on the outside. But I digress. I didn't think Elam was the right fit, despite the traits and the athleticism and all that stuff. Eric and I had him in the film room. And the little thing, he's got the physical tools, obviously. He's tremendously smart. Like, we
saw his notebook.
But not even, like, all jokes aside, like, when we had him, like, he's talking about route concepts and like his depth and drop, but like, I'm spacing what I'm doing on this. He was breaking down the interception that he had in the wild card round against Miami. They're playing cover 2. He's the cloud corner to that side, and he's talking about how he's spacing out the routes, but he keeps sinking because he's reading the trajectory of the quarterback's shoulders, so he knows it's going to go to the deeper route, so he keeps sinking, makes the play. I don't know why he can't put it together because he's got the physical tools and traits. He grew up in and around the business with his uncle and his dad, and he's legitimately very smart. I don't know what the fit is, but I will say everybody was clamoring and making that case year one. He should be out there. He should be out there. And my pushback was on it was the game reps aren't what matter the most. It's what you see in practice. And if guy isn't ready, the same guy who they had to put boxing gloves on in training camp because he was so grabby, these practice reps matter and they decide what you get. And to your point, like for as much as everybody's like, oh, Elam has all these warts, it could be Ingram, it should be Ingram, it should have never been Elam in the Chiefs game, so on and so forth. Practice dictates that. And for all we know, Ingram was looking terrible in practice. I mean, I don't know. And again, I'm a person who likes Jamarcus Ingram and his inside-outside versatility, but it matters a lot what you do week to week and the volume that you get from that.
And so in that way, Elam was never going to get any more run here. It was over for him. So then what they did was they moved on and yet somehow found a buyer, which I think would cement, like that's a win for Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane somehow found a way to not only save us $2.5 million in cap by trading him, but also got us draft picks.
Yeah, 5th and a 7th. And we gave him Elam and a 6th. Also, shout out to Michael for the Malachi Black reference as well.
Usually when you're trading away, and this is what I tried to explain to a coworker of mine, usually when you trade away a player, you have to give something up. Brock Osweiler started the trend of, hey, I'm going to offload salary cap, and we're going to throw in a draft pick so that you, the dirtbag Browns, can take this second-round pick and also Brock Osweiler at quarterback. Make him your starter. We don't give a shit what you do with him. Just take him in all of his
People
cap.
were talking about that for like if the Browns traded Myles Garrett, they were going to try and like attach Watson to it to make like some team take that contract to get Myles Garrett.
It would have been one of those things where we met him at the state line and we were just like, nah, get off the bus. You walk home. You walk home from here. You can't come in here.
You don't get a vehicle.
You don't get a vehicle. So you watch this happen and you would assume that people, Chris, if you want to get the tweets ready, you would assume that some people would have some appreciation for Brandon Beane.
Oh boy.
It turns out there's a lot of hyperbolic idiots on social media
That doesn't make
who
sense.
do not. Chris, go ahead, hit the first one. Pick one. Anyone. Don't care. Chris, throw it up there on the screen. Show it to us. Here's what I love. Everybody lost their minds. Somebody tweeted out what the Bills' defensive line looked like. Right? They tweeted out what the defensive line would look like in the aftermath of free agency. And this guy decided, the boss, which is hilarious because Tony Danza. Now I'm reading this in an Italian accent.
Sasha Banks reference.
He goes, hey, this is literally the worst D-line in the league. Oh, WTF are we even looking at? Like, hey, Bafangul.
Is that your Tony Danza?
Yeah, that's right, Tony Danza.
awful accent.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm more offended as a TV watcher or as an Italian.
He was as an Italian. I'm
Yeah.
offended. Chris, what else do we got here? Oh, tee it up. Here, because this is what I love. That right there. The worst defensive line in football?
Yeah.
How about this? Josh having to carry this entire unit again. Year after year, this shit. Bean's seat should be burning. Yes, Brandon Bean, the GM of the team who just, like, he put together a squad that went to an AFC championship game and has an MVP quarterback.
In a season where they shed a bunch of cap and kicked out their old core defensively and offensively, and we're going through a revamp.
He should be burning, Anthony. Burning. Scorching hot. Chris, what else you got for us? Throw it up there.
This one.
Oh, yeah. This asshole.
What?
Zach talks too much.
This got 61 likes.
Silva. It got 61 people agreed that this guy, his opinion was correct, that the Bills got a ton of cap room to not get Metcalf or Garrett.
He also
Spelled incorrectly.
Garrett, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Extreme losers.
Oh, boy.
Extreme losers the Buffalo Bills are. Last one.
These are golden.
Last one here, Chris.
Oh, it's from Alex Brasky.
Oh, no.
Alex Bransky. He goes, me looking at Bills out at free agency so far. And it's Kendra Middleton saying, I'm underwhelmed.
Well, he sent that at March 10th at 8:54 p.m., so that was Monday night.
Yes.
So a little early.
Little early.
Still, I mean, Hoyt and Palmer were nice pieces that day.
Why is everyone so hyperbolic? Everyone feels the need to rush to social media and spill your guts and talk about your feelings. How about this? I'm dead inside. Do you want to know why our Twitter is dead most of the time? Like, literally, our growth has been stunted by two problems. One, I say terrible things about the Buffalo Bills when I'm drunk and angry and the Bills are losing. And I don't delete them. I let them hang out there so that everybody can see it and judge me later because I don't care. And then the other thing I do is in this course of the off season, I shut the hell up because I have nothing to say. I retweet things I think are funny. It's mostly dog pictures and hippos attacking people and
my tweets.
And your tweets.
I'll say funny, guys.
We can tweet out your mustache if you want to.
Damn.
Every day. We'll start a growth chart. I'll just start tweeting it out.
Growth mindset.
Growth mindset. Hashtag growth mindset. And it's just a short video of me stroking my mustache.
Day by the picture. You got to take a picture day by day and just watch it. Like one of those, like take it for 300 days and watch it grow.
So I guess my point is.
Your mustache reminds me of Paul Blart.
Wow, these insults just keep coming. This is intense. Yeah, it is very, I'm getting like a Super Trooper kind of vibe.
Yes.
Very Farva.
Hey.
Very Farva. Let me get a large Farva.
Listen, I will bite a brick of soap right in front of you. Do you know I used to rub it in my eyes at the gym?
Soap?
I didn't know that there was such a thing as pre-workout. I used to just work up a good lather and just rub it into my eyes so I'd get like a little adrenaline rush to go bench press.
Couldn't just bench press without burning your eyes?
Nope. Nope, it became part of the ritual.
You're working out weird, man. It's a weird.
So with this in mind, I'm an idiot, and yet not even I think Brandon Bean has done a bad job. Oh my God, this is so terrible. Everyone's going, oh, Bean, you've done nothing. Notice all those tweets, if you go back through the dates of them, guys, those of you who are watching on YouTube, they're all from the first 2 days. What? Those guys had way better stretch.
No,
No,
not
the
that.
comment before it.
Dirty.
Because your mustache looks like Dominic Mysterio's. Michael's killing it in the chat. These are fantastic.
I love Partham.
Partham is
Partham is part of our crew.
Partham's on our wavelength with pro wrestling.
I've spoken to him a couple times, and including during the summer at Mafia Con, and I pulled away, and he and I talked wrestling for like 20 minutes. That was around the time before Jay White got hurt, and we were talking about.
Here's what I love. You can talk wrestling with him, and then he comes to my house and he plays with my kids, and I'm like, my wife's like, we didn't know Mike, but Mike showed up to the very first like public stunt you pulled when you ate those Reaper wings at Wise Guys.
Yeah, we only know Mike. We met Mike Partham on the internet.
And then he
Same
showed
way we met
up.
you.
And then he showed up that day, and he was actually happier to talk to Chris than me.
That tracks.
And I was like, this is the best. This is how I know we recruit good people. The only people who can put up with us are decent human beings, even though we're absolute just garbage.
I only do it for the whiskey sours.
Can we all cool it on this? The Bills didn't do enough, or this was underwhelming. Guess what, guys? They're all going to be underwhelming. Do you want to know why? The cap dynamics we talked about at the top of the show. Everybody watches around with a FOMO. Oh my God, I see them getting a Joe Milton or Milton Jones or whatever the fuck his name is. Joe Milton Bradbury. It doesn't.
Miles Garrett.
Who are you talking about? Hold on, I need to know
Whoever the hell went to New England for $100 million.
Milton Williams?
Milton.
The defensive tackle?
Bradley. It doesn't matter.
Those names aren't even close.
Doesn't matter.
Milton Williams is a defensive tackle.
Hey, Milton Bradley was a great baseball player.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for the Twins, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's
He played for the Indians too.
Oh,
DK
yeah.
Metcalf gets traded to the Steelers. And everyone goes, why not us? And then you see the $150 million price tag and you go, ooh. Fuck, I wouldn't want to pay that.
Also, too, like, real quick on Metcalf. Metcalf is, like, fun and a lot of stuff. But, like, for all the people that were, like, mad the one time Stephon Diggs, like, yelled at Josh Allen, have you ever watched DK Metcalf, like punch people in the face because he's not getting the ball?
He's
and,
a diva, too.
He throws wild temper tantrums, and they're scarier because he's, like, built like
He's
Godzilla.
Josh's size.
Yeah, he could take...
This isn't 5'11" Diggs yelling at Josh Allen. This is Josh Allen yelling at Josh Allen.
This is Godzilla and King Kong, like being like, "Yo, you're on my turf."
And they're going to destroy Tokyo in the process.
They're going to destroy everything. Yeah.
So I understand, like, when people saw the sticker shock and they go, wait, he signed what? He goes, yeah. Oh, but keep telling me about how Brandon Beane's doing a bad job. Keep telling me about all the ways this is terrible. So those teams are as far and away from going to a Super Bowl as Chris and I are.
Like, you guys might be closer because you can just buy tickets.
Yeah, sure, we can
Technically,
just
you
buy
might be closer.
I guess what I'll say is that, like, all of the FOMO of the moment and the emotion of just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're not making these crazy moves. Everyone gets upset. And then you have to sit down and get sober and realize, oh shit, you know what? We're probably a better team because we didn't do that.
My life has been a lie.
We're probably a better football team because we didn't trade a second and pay $150 million for DK Metcalf. Like, everyone goes, well, but we might win a Super Bowl. And I go, yeah, but we might not.
We do this every year.
And then if we don't, what happens next year? And I like that Brandon Beane's focus is, let's get as many scratch-off tickets as we can. Because one of these years, look how close we're getting.
As many swings at the plate as you can get.
I want as many chances to kick the door down as I can. So for all of you criticizing Bean for being slow, including I was waiting for him to show up and he didn't. Chris, our friend from around the corner,
Pat Moran.
Pat Moran was real critical of Brandon Bean through the first few days, and I was waiting to call him out when he was in the chat, but he's not. Pat Moran was being diabolical about all of the things that he fucked up. Oh, this is...
What did he say?
No, it was just a lot of, I can't believe our GM would do this or wouldn't do that. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Well, now you're happy. Well, now you're happy because, wait a minute, you're happy because he didn't fuck the farm, right? Like, he just didn't get the guy you wanted.
I'll look through our bookmarks. Because that'll definitely happen.
Oh, no, I have a couple up here right now. There's a couple in there. Hang on. Keep going. Keep scrolling.
I mean, I got to go past the ones where you said Sean McDermott would call Reed Ferguson for a flat tire.
It was Sean McDermott, yeah. Hang on.
We got a lot of bookmarks.
Yeah, you bookmark a lot of stuff. Christ.
Jesus Christ.
You know what the funny thing is? I clean them out every 2 weeks. Here we go. Pete Prisco from CBS Sports, I bookmarked it, says Buffalo has a great offseason so far, and yet no one believes us.
Well, I mean, but also, too, like, they got to play devil's advocate. Like, that's a positive argument on the other
Here we
side.
go.
Like, everything is arbitrary.
Was it this one?
Yeah. Well, here's one. He goes, again, how in the hell are the New Orleans Saints spending all this money when every chart says they're in salary cap jail? He was mad, and that was his tone. His tone all day long was that I can't believe that the Bills aren't spending the money that the capitalist Saints aren't. I can't believe that they're not trying harder.
Was it this one?
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Pat Moran, we're calling you out.
Pat Moran, free agency started yesterday at noon, so by my math, I lasted roughly 22 hours before being pissed off that the Bills haven't done anything to significantly improve on either side of the ball yet. Also, take your season doesn't start till September takes and stick them up your ass.
That's violent.
That's Patrick Moran on Twitter. Now,
We'll get him in here this.
Oh, no, we're going to confront him with that tweet. What I need you guys to understand, I viscerally need you to understand, is that a GM is doing a job, right? It's constant, and am I out of line for saying it this way? It's constant damage control.
Yeah.
Because there's always losses, there's always opportunities.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is you just have to keep trying to stay on top of the bubble. And the bubble is always there. And for some people, it pops.
Yeah.
Like the Kansas City Chiefs, where you're like, oh, we're good. We get some support from the referees. And then you find yourself in a Super Bowl where everyone just whomps on you.
Or the Niners.
The Niners.
But also, too, like, let's put it in perspective as well. Like, it happens to every team, like, good or bad. Like, how many people did the Eagles lose right now? And let's juxtapose it, too, with, I don't want to say, like, the element of luck, right? But if Detroit's whole defense at the first, down the depth chart at first string, second string, third string at multiple levels, if they don't all get like the plague throughout the year, does Philly get past a healthy Detroit team? And then now Philly doesn't win a Super Bowl. Then they lose all these guys. Everyone in Philly is probably calling for Sirianni's head because they lost all these guys. What's Howie Roseman doing? All this. Same thing with the Niners. If the Niners had won a ring, all the jettisoning they're doing because now they have to pay the piper financially, that doesn't look bad. It's like, well, you got a ring. And to juxtapose them with the Rams got that one ring after mortgaging the future. If they hadn't, that looks terrible. It's like, oh my God, you guys like did all this. You wasted prime Aaron Donald. You got nothing. Now you're getting rid of Kupp. Puka Nakua's hurt all the time. What are you doing? Like the margin for what is success. And it goes back to the Andy Reid thing too. Like Andy Reid got run out of Philly. They were dancing on his grave in friggin' Philly. And even before they won the ring in Kansas City, the Chiefs' Twitter was like, Andy Reid sucks. Get him out of here. He's a huge loser, yada, yada. There's such a small margin for error and such a fine line between what defines success and what defines loss. And when you're playing the short term versus the long term, all of these things, it's constant, like you said, like damage control, but it's also constant variable management. And you're trying to take the unknown, make it known. You're trying to take variables and projections and odds and outcomes and then trying to balance all that out into known realities and quantify that. And that's hard. Von Miller's another good example too. Von Miller was worth every penny before he tore his ACL. He was the closer and the prince that was promised. Now we look back on it, it's like, oh man, that's a terrible deal. But it wasn't because of his age. It wasn't because he was wearing down. He tore his ACL on a field that tons of people have torn their ACLs regardless of age because the field sucks. If he doesn't tear his ACL, I don't know. Maybe the Bills win the ring that year. Maybe his production dips and he still sucks. There's a multitude of different possibilities. But it's such a fine line, and having to decide what basket you put your eggs in, and if you do it in multiple or a few, it's just such a fine line between success and failure. And to judge it off the first 3 days or 2 days of something, it's just like wild, especially when you have a track record of success.
It's hilarious.
I'm over here for a second time. You got to wrap this shit up.
And that's also where I'm going to close the show on this thing. Because Bean did make one big move in that arena. What the fuck's Joey Bosa? Why is Joey Bosa a member of the Buffalo Bills? So I'm a guy who has been on record saying it's a terrible idea. And I feel like now the NFL as a whole is it's just trolling me. Because I hated the Trey White pick.
What?
I hated it. I had a lot of vitriol. Turns out that went well. I've hated a lot of things that have gone well here. Oh, I hated the Josh Allen pick.
That story.
He's an MVP.
If we draft Josh Allen, I need a beer for each hand, and I will throw myself backwards down the nearest flight of stairs.
I tried. I drank a bottle of whiskey. Not a whiskey, of white rum. White rum at a Jamaican resort. A bottle.
Yes, I remember this story. Yeah, I remember this.
And so the idea is...
We went over this story when you lived in your old place, not this place.
Yep.
We went over that in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That was an early story.
When we recorded this show in a kitchen.
So what I will tell you is that I understand how it is to be hyperbolic, and I understand being upset, and I understand seeing bad value. Joey Bosa, why the fuck are you on my football team? I am despondent over the idea that Joey Bosa is a Buffalo Bill.
Really?
Because, we talked about it earlier tonight, and I was more sober at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were much more subdued.
Now I want to understand, what is the reason for Joey Bosa being a part of this? Why is Joey Bosa on the Buffalo Bills? How did we get to a place where we said, hey, let's go out and get alpha pass rusher. Let's Sean McDermott's constant stream of availability is the best ability. And then they signed this guy. It's just, there's a lot of mixed signals here, and I need to understand it. Anthony, help me parse how you give the contract value to that player that he received.
I think they're going off of if he has a reduced workload, if he's on kind of like the Von Miller operating schedule, the odds of him...
Well, we talked about that earlier tonight in our pre-recorded show, how they might get him.
Yes.
So, guys, obviously we pre-record a show and then we come do this nonsense. Which I love that you all show up for. We pre-recorded a show where we talked about what his role might be and then what his best fit is. Now, if they can find that.
Yeah. My thought is you get a reduced workload because you've got, and again, a lot of this is in the other episode, but you have Groot, Hoyt, and Epinesa who give you solid run defensibility for your top three edges. And you let Bosa just be a hunter and an assassin and a mercenary off the edge. He can still play run. Like, he's a good run defender, but if you don't have to use him in that way, you don't. And what this offense was missing was a true edge one as a pass rusher. And for as good as I think Von Miller's metrics last year were a bit overblown by those who wanted to make Von Miller seem better than he was, just like people on the other side of the spectrum wanted to make him seem worse than he was. But I think Von very much last year was kind of like a high-end edge 3, low to mid-tier edge 2 at times in different flashes. Groot is an edge 2 as a pass rusher. Epinesa is a 3, maybe even a 4. You needed a true 1 as a pass rusher. Bosa, if he's healthy, can give you that. Even last year, playing at 60 and 70%, him still piling up like over 30 pressures and still being able to have an impact. And then him fitting schematically with what they do. Power rusher, compress the pocket, win the half-man relationship, play through the shoulder, understands rush angles and QB drops and how to pair all that together. That fits better with how Groot rushes, how Ed Oliver rushes, how the Bills want to play from a penetrating style up front, rather than Von's athleticism and dip and Ben maybe freelancing a little bit and how players have to play off of that. I do think Bosa still has the upside. I honestly think it makes sense. It's just a matter of, can he stay healthy? And that's a significant question. But I think the hope is, from their vantage point, and my hope as well, I think is you play him in a reduced workload, you let him be that closer, play him on some early downs whenever you have to, but you let Groot and Hoyt and Epinesa do the heavy lifting, and you let Bosa hunt. And I think Bosa can do that role better than Von did, given his fit in the defense, his age, and how he still, fits. But again, for all we know, we could be sitting here the second week of camp and it's like Joey Bosa was held out today because this hurts or like this is a problem. And if that happens, then you're kind of in the same boat again. But I get the upside play because this is a guy who he's just a couple years removed from being one of the highest paid defensive players in all of football at a premium position. And he was great against the run. He was great as a rusher. It's just a matter of if he can stay healthy. I don't think he's still that guy that he was in his prime, but I still think there is legitimate upside that he can be a true edge 1 as a pass rusher. And if you get that, then you're almost golden with the rest of the front because you know what you're going to... The floor for the Bills edge grouping is really good run defense. Sure. And then you hope you get the pass rush, maybe a little bit of an improvement from Groot, or you get what Hoyt brings, but it needs to be rounded together with either more B or B plus guys or somebody who can be an A minus or an A. I think Bosa can still be that. He just got to stay healthy. It's just an if and a large question at this point, given what he's been for a majority of his career.
It's hilarious, but Somehow the Bills have still come out of this, the betting favorites to win the AFC East.
Oh,
Shocker.
Well,
Shocker.
I think it's no disrespect to the Bills. I think that's also a testament to the rest of the AFC East. Like Miami's kind of fallen apart. The Pats got a lot better, but the Jets are a dumpster fire right now. Like I think the AFC East is kind of wilting a little bit. We'll see what happens in the draft, though.
We are the new AFC South, but it doesn't matter when you have the league MVP.
Hold on real quick. I want to say something. Spin says in the comments, really good run defense until we play Baltimore. I said really good run defense on the edge. They've had good run defense on the edge between those guys. Smoot was a bit of an issue. The problem with the Bills' run defense is the spine. It's the interior. It's the defensive tackles. It's the schematic style they play and the individuals that they have playing that style. It's a larger conversation, but I don't think the run defense problem is a group problem or an AJ Epinesa problem. I don't think it'll be a Michael Hoyt problem. I still have questions, and I think it comes down to the spine and the interior, but I specifically mentioned like the edge position. I don't think that's a problem there.
Don't come at him.
I don't think he was coming at it. I just wanted to like clarify.
Don't come at him and miss. The guy is ready for it. This is why I love doing shows with Anthony. Honestly, I just like getting you down here so I can pick your brain about things, and then we just drink.
It's a good time.
We drink.
Fantastic.
Whiskey sours and wrestling.
Whiskey sours, wrestling, football conversation. Guys, this live stream has gone
for wrestling
a half hour over limit.
Oh, I know. But for wrestling, how excited are you for the WCW YouTube channel and WWE Vault channel?
I am decently excited, for the WCW Vault channel. I'm a big WCW guy, and I mean, the peak WCW is arguably like the best wrestling roster of all time and the best wrestling of all time. So
last question is we try to thread the needle kind of through free agency and leading into draft stuff. Mm-hmm. Does Kenneth Grant solve the Bills' problem?
Oh, for me, yeah. My issue is...
He goes, no. He perked up. He perked up spin like a flower that you poured water on.
The only issue with it is so I'll put it like this. If the Bills are sitting at 30 and they have both Kenneth Grant and Derek Harmon on the table, they're going to take Derek Harmon, in my estimation, which I don't think is bad. I think that still helps a little bit from a run defense standpoint in the spine, but they prioritize penetration and disruption more than they do stoutness and anchoring. And I think Grant, for being the freak athlete that he is at his size, he still skews more run defense than he does pass rush. I would welcome him. I just don't know if the Bills see him in that same light. So for me, yes. For the Bills, I don't know, because I don't think he would be that high on their board potentially, because they want more. They want as close to a 50-50 split between pass rush and run defense as possible. And if you have to skew one way, they're going pass rush. So if they would prefer 55-45, 60-40, 65-35 pass rush.
Guys, you can blame Anthony if all of your draft wishes don't come true. Anthony, tell everybody where they can yell at you on social media and where they can follow your show over there, Cover One.
Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro2_ANT. Find me on Blue Sky at proant. No underscores there, just PROANT. I host a show called Disguised Coverage live on YouTube every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, live, and then uploaded to all the audio platforms right after. And then I also co-host a show called the Cover One Film Room that gets uploaded to YouTube and audio platforms every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Pre-recorded show that we do earlier in the day. Usually everything for me is film and analytics and X's and O's and scheme and structure and player evaluation and all that stuff.
And you get no wrestling takes. You don't get any whiskey takes. You don't get profanity.
Only here.
That is true.
Guys, it's only in
that is true. I make some wrestling reference every once in a while because people ask me stuff in the chat. But yeah, I definitely don't swear.
And there. So with that, we have to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. That's Anthony Prohaska. And this